Shabbat Shalom. Today the Torah portion is called Ekev, and Mauricio Quintero wrote our message for us. And Zion said, "The Lord has forsaken me. The Lord has forgotten me." This is from Isaiah chapter 49, verse 14. For the last 3 weeks, we've been experiencing health issues at home to the point of us almost giving up. We were unable to find the cause of certain symptoms. We were physically, morally, and spiritually exhausted due to my wife's health crisis. I believe that God often leads us to depths of despair, as we read in Isaiah 51, verse 1, and Psalm 40. He leads us to moments filled with darkness, with no light, as Isaiah said in chapter 50, verse 10. Also to moments of humiliation or suffering, as we read in 54:6 of Isaiah, and to moments of feeling abandoned, exiled, and rejected, Isaiah 49:19. And it is precisely in these moments that Ekev appears to nourish the soul. The word Ekev means heal, or as a consequence of, or because. The heel is the lowest part of the body. It touches the ground and connects the human being to the earth, allowing for movement and travel from one place to another. The Torah is a tool that teaches us to live fully on this earth. Yet it must be practical, lived on a daily basis, provide a foundation, be sustainable, and lead to balance, which are all depicted in the heel. Ekev depicts a connection to the atmosphere, to a higher realm, by teaching us that our relationship with God is not demonstrated solely by how our steps touch the earth, but also by looking up toward the heavens. In the context of this parasha, Moses is preparing the new generation to enter the land of Canaan, giving them instructions on how to live at this new stage. The blessings, as a consequence of obedience, are presented first with the condition that if you listen to these decrees, Second, he calls us to remember the 40 years in the desert as a filter for Israel, since without the desert, these expressions, to humble you, to test you, to teach you, would not appear. How important are these three actions? Without them, there is no growth, no maturity. Perhaps that's why at this stage, God takes away the bread and makes us depend on the manna that he gave us. The scarcity in the desert fueled their dependence on God. Now there would be houses, vineyards, silver, gold, and livestock. And that is when he tells us, "Do not say my power and the strength of my hand have brought me this wealth." Memory keeps our feet firmly planted on the ground, Ekev, eliminating pride, and forgetting, opposite of remembering, leads us to idolatry. 30 talks about the merits of the land. It was not because of your justice. 3 times he states, it is not because of you, not because of your. In fact, he reminds us of the episode of the golden calf, the breaking of the first set of tablets. He makes us see that it is because of God's love and faithfulness that we are receiving the land. Furthermore, the merit of living on this earth, on this land, depends on our actions. The previous inhabitants were expelled for their actions. And although the land is promised to the children of Abraham, the merit to live on it will depend on Israel's behavior. Fourth, the story of the second tablets appear. But more than telling the story, the message is that despite life's mistakes, God is the God of second chances. He is the God of starting over, or as Rabbi used to say, the God of beginning again. On the first set of tablets, divine perfection appeared. The second tablets represent the restoration of people who will do teshuvah. And now actions appear for our development. Fear Him, walk in His way, love Him, serve Him, keep His commandments, circumcise our hearts, because the heart must be sensitive to God. Fifth, Moses asks us to choose the blessing, reminding us of moments on the journey in Egypt and in the desert, of Korach, and of all the miracles. This land would not be like Egypt, which enjoyed the Nile. In this land, our survival would depend upon the rain from heaven. Finally, the second Shema appears in chapter 11, verses 13 to 21, along with the idea of serving and loving God. Moses issues warning against prosperity and idolatry and asks us to remember through actions that would be repeated, like the mezuzah, tefillin, and the continual teaching of the Torah to our children. To sum up, in Ekev, we see that the blessing is to obey, since it brings consequences of physical, emotional, spiritual, as well as national well-being. Memory protects us from pride. Prosperity can be more dangerous than scarcity. Obedience is a consequence of a circumcised heart, and God forms our character through trials. In the Haftorah portion, we see how Zion expresses her pain that God had forgotten them, had forsaken them. In the historical context, it is the most natural thing. A people taken as slaves to an unknown land, beaten, mistreated, and humiliated. The question is profound. Why, if we are your people, would you allow this misfortune to happen to us? How often have I uttered these words, especially in moments of extreme sadness, weakness, and constant fragility? God does not only respond, because of your sins you are in this condition. No, God also answers, can a woman forget her nursing child? In Ekev, God calls us to remember, not forget the eternal. In the Haftarah, Isaiah tells us, even if you think that God has forsaken you, God has not forgotten you. Haftarah goes on to say that there are unmistakable signs through which God is working and revealing Himself, but often our pain, our self-pity, and our preconceived notions of how God will save us distort our vision from the obvious. I remember when my wife and I were just friends, getting to know each other. I was the one who was blind, who couldn't see the obvious. My wife wanted me to ask her to be my girlfriend, but my own doubts and my lack of confidence stopped me from taking the next step, even though everyone else around me saw the obvious. It's just like the words of the song by the Latin group Bacillos. What's all the fuss about, I wonder? I don't think she's planning on gossiping, is she? Look at the way she's looking at him. And come up with another story. What nonsense. She's going to let it slip away. In other words, I wasted my time and might even have lost her because of my fear. The signs of Zion's restoration were evident. Zion is empty. Her children are returning swiftly. Her destroyers are disappearing gradually. Zion will be filled again. That is why the verse says, lift up your eyes all around and see. They are all gathering together. They are coming to you. That's to say, stop looking only at what you see now and look at what I'm doing. In short, Isaiah is saying, don't interpret your current situation as the end of the story. Then we see that God is asking some questions in response to the initial one in the passage where Zion claims that God has forgotten them, which is somewhat like saying, God doesn't love me anymore. And here appears, where is the certificate of divorce from your mother by which I sent her away? Who among my creditors is he whom I sold to you? Behold, for your iniquities you were sold, and for your transgression your mother was sent away. The two questions are, is there a certificate of divorce? Or is there any legal document that implies the sale of Israel? God then recalls Ekev. The exile was a consequence of Israel's transgressions. Now God replies to these questions. Why did I come and there was no one? Why did I call and no one answered? This is a way of saying, you say I abandoned you, but in reality, who abandoned whom? Because I called, I sought you, but you didn't answer. It's a call to conscience. Could it be that the problem wasn't that God left, but that we stopped responding? And he returns with a deeper question. Is my hand too short to redeem? The hand, too short, refers to inability, incapacity. He continues, do I not have the power to deliver? The problem wasn't God's incapacity, nor was it that God had stopped loving. The problem was Israel's part in the breakdown of the relationship. If we look at Ekev and the Haftarah, in both God calls us to Shema, listen. He speaks of the circumcision of the heart. That means understanding and recognizing. And he concludes by walking, Ekev, the heel that touches the ground. What you hear with your ear ends up appearing in your steps. So what do we truly hear? What do we understand? What do we remember? And what do we see? I'd like to close with Isaiah chapter 50, verse 10, which says, who among you fears God and listens to the voice of his servant, who walks in darkness and has no light, and trusts in the name of the Lord and relies on his God? It's clear that there is an implicit process in this verse. Betachon, which means trust, is a process that results from listening and walking in obscurity, even when we cannot see the light. And yet we trust so that we can rely on God. Verse 11 continues, behold, all you who kindle a fire, you give power to the flames. Go forth in the flame of your fire and in the flame which you have kindled. This has come to you from my hand. You shall lie down in pain. In other words, you decided to fabricate, to manufacture your own light. Now walk in the light that you yourselves have produced. That's to say, those who fear God choose to walk in darkness, while there are people who make their own light, and the final consequence is that they will lie down in torment. God says, in other words, you choose your own path, but even the consequences of that path are under my control. That is to say, self-sufficiency is the opposite of bitachon, and this is a modern day disease. I no longer need to depend on God. I can produce my own security. But Ekev calls us to do not say my strength did this to me. And Isaiah, do not kindle your own light to replace God. The problem is turning the gift received into a source of independence from the one who gave it. So if today you are experiencing a trial, pain, affliction, trauma, or spiritual amnesia that causes you to ask, why have you forsaken me? Why, God, have you forsaken me? The answer is that God has not forgotten, forsaken, or abandoned us. He even allowed this trial to happen to us to bring out what was inside us, so that we may remember to live trusting in His process, in all His processes, and see from our past that He always saves us, that He loves us, and that He can continue, and that we can live supported by Him. My prayer is that we may have the courage to circumcise our hearts so that we may walk in obedience and trust in our God. Shabbat Shalom. Shalom, Mauricio. I have to say that some of the parts of the message were a little confusing for me. So, and I didn't have enough time to ask you to clarify, but this is what the discussion is all about. So, if you can maybe clarify, because I know with the Torah there are many facets, and walking with God is a two-sided coin. Our It's not that God is pointing a finger at us saying, this is happening to you because you did it. And yet at the same time, He's saying, it's your fault. You're doing this to yourself. I love you. I'll never leave you. But let me tell you, if you don't continue to obey me, there are consequences. And that's a hard pill to swallow for us. You know, when we look at the things that have happened in the world and are continuing to happen, like this morning, I just received news that less than a mile from my, well, a little more than a mile from my house, a restaurant, a kosher restaurant that I've been to. Last year, I celebrated my birthday there. At 3 in the morning, it was burnt down, and they think it was an act of anti-Semitism. And so the first thing, you know, sometimes my first thought is my people were being disobedient to our God, and God is allowing these type of things to happen. You know, and I hate thinking that, but I know that the only way that that God will protect us from all the evil that's going on around is when we are faithful and when we are obedient to Him. Is this how you see things? Because it's not a judgment. It's just, to me, it's just a fact. What do you think about that? Maybe you can clarify a little bit, because I don't want to sound judgmental, because I'm not.
Okay. First, when I was reading the Haftarah portion, it came to my mind different things that I was happening in the last 3 weeks, probably. My wife started to have some problems with colon and intestines. And you know, at the very same time, even my dogs were sick
Oh my
too.
goodness. Wow.
Yeah. After that, uh, uh, you know, uh, sometimes during this process, I start to felt not so good uh, because of my ear, my left ear, and 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 you know, when you start to see different levels that we are not improving apparently, but we are decreasing our health. And not only that, because you know, physically you felt a little bit exhausted, uh, and at the same time job and kids and everything. Uh, so I started to ask myself, where are you guys?
Hmm.
Or you, where are you? Because um, you said that if we follow your commandments and we have a good a life properly, then you will bless us. And I cannot see your blessings right now.
Right.
Okay. Um, and it's interesting how the portion of Yeshayahu starts. Okay. Because, you know, in principle, in theory, in our mind, inside of our hearts, we know God is good. We have in our minds, uh, the Lord knows what He's doing. Even I do not comprehend, but day by day, it's very hard to see your family decreasing the health. And then it's not really lack of faith. It's just that you are looking the facts that are not uh, equal to your actions. Um, so when the prophet said in Zion, what was in Zion? Was Jerusalem, right? Was a temple. Was the presence of God there? Okay, so supposedly, if the God's presence is there, how could it be possible that they were led to be slaves, to be captives? Okay, that is probably why people start to say, "Oh no, here is the temple, here is the presence of God," and you know, eh, God will protect us. So, and then suddenly they were captives. Okay. Eh, and to be captive is not only, well, prior to be captive, they saw the worst of this world. I mean, if you look to Lamentations, it's terrible that people start to eat their own sons. The people were murdered into unconceivable manners in ways that today probably we cannot imagine. So
Except for
after
those who lived through the
they
Holocaust.
suffer, yeah,
You
it's
can,
like the Holocaust.
yeah, and
And then
yeah,
yes, the temple was there, and the conscious national of the presence of God that was there, they could see the temple. So Zion, that is why it's important to say Zion, not Israel, not Jerusalem. No, it is a hill. And then after to be captives for several
back for a
times.
second and understand what you said. Zion is a heel. What is that? What do you mean?
Yeah, Zion is a holy the holy place, okay,
Yes.
in Jerusalem, where the temple is, but is Mountain Zion, okay.
Oh,
So
a mountain. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So but it's not a mountain as I am accustomed here in El Salvador. Here
Right.
you can see a mountain, and a mountain is huge.
Yes.
Okay, but okay. So uh, and then Zion start to ask, okay, where the Lord has forsaken me, and the Lord has forgotten me. So sometimes in our lives, eh, the human has we can say two concepts. One is a selective memory. Okay, so we chose what to memorize and what to not memorize. Okay, and the other thing is that we can for if we can forgive, we can um forget our bad deeds. Okay,
Right.
so in this case, is the sentence, the Lord has forsaken me, the Lord has forgotten me, is just that they are saying, Lord, I am abandoned. And it's interesting how God is leading in all this consolation to Israel to a point. Okay. In the very first, because in this portion we can see a lot of questions from the Lord.
Mhm.
And the first thing is, there are no really clear answer, direct answers. Is the kind of answer that make you think to get your own conclusions. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's another level to answer. Okay. Because yes, the Lord could say, I have not forgetting you. I have not forsaken you.
Mhm.
Okay. No, but the Lord is leading to 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 lead Zion to get his own conclusions based on the questions the Lord is making.
Mhm.
So the first thing is asking is, shall a woman forget her sucking kid from having mercy on the child of her womb? That is a question. It in the normal and usual answer is no. The
Never.
woman will not forget.
Exactly.
So eh, in why this? Because I cannot imagine when a child is birthing, the pain, the suffering. No matter if you let the kid at some orphan place or whatever,
Never.
um, but you will never forget him or
No.
forget her. Never.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because that this kind of link between mother and son, so is the Lord saying, get your answer.
Mhm.
What is your answer, Zion? So he's not saying, no, I will not forget. No, he's putting a question so he can imagine the picture and get the conclusion. No, the Lord will never forgive me.
Mhm. Forget me.
Will never forget me.
Yeah.
So and then even it says, these two shall forget, but I will not forget you. And then uh behold, my hands have I engraved you. Your walls are before me always. Your sons have hastened, those who destroy you, and those who lay you waste shall go forth from you. And then go to another level, okay? Israel, okay? Eh, when sometimes we are suffering, we trying to see ourselves
Hmm.
and we stop to see what is happening around us. We lost the conscience about what is happening surrounding us because we are focused on my pain, on my suffering, on my on what I'm living, and things like that, and we stop to see what the Lord is doing. Okay, and why is that? Because we have lack of faith, or probably we have lack of bitahon, or we probably uh, we cannot see the obvious. That's why I put the example of my wife.
Hmm.
Honestly, people say to me, I remember my mom told me, "Son, why are you looking another girl? There is your girl." And I remember also my friends telling me, "Hey man, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not sure if she wants to have a relation with me, and because I'm not feel confident, and I don't know what to do, and so I demoralized too much." Okay, and but that is because we are focused not on the other person, we are focused on us. I don't want to be feel rejected. Okay.
Hmm.
So I don't want to take risks.
Right.
So then it says, lift your eyes in around, lift your eyes around and see. It's not only to because pour of me, and then lift out your eyes and see.
Hmm.
Okay. So get another level of conscience. And it says, Eh, all of them have gathered, have come to you. As I live, says the Lord, that you shall wear all of them as jewelry, and you shall tie them as a bride. Okay. For your ruins and your desolate places, and your land that has been destroyed, for now you shall be crowded by the inhabitants, and those who will destroy you shall be far away. So what what is saying the Lord, there is a process right now, and it's in a start. It started right now. You can see how people is returning back to Israel. That is a sign to you that I'm forgiving you. Okay, and it's a process.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is the second thing. Until this moment, the Lord has not saying, "Oh, because of you, because of your sins, because of... No." What He's trying to say, uh, hey, wake up. Do not be looking at your disaster right now, okay? And see what the Lord is doing. And then it says, your children of whom you were beaten shall get a stay in your ears. The place is too narrow for me. Move over me so that I will dwell. So what is happening here is your population will go uh, will grow very fast, and then you will not have any place to dwell, because that the land will be full of persons, okay, of your returning. And then it says, in and you shall say to yourself, who begot this for me, seeing that I'm bitter and solitary, exiled and rejected? So that is the Lord is like saying, I understand you, how you feel, Israel, because it is interesting that it's looking to the condition of emotion felt solitary, that sometimes when we feel like, oh, what is happening to me, sometimes you feel solitary, you're not alone. That is what the Lord saying. And then say, exile, you will not be there in another land. Now you will return to your land, and at the end, you shall not feel rejected, because sometimes when you feel down is because you feel rejection from other people. And that is very sad. No, I don't know how many times in my life I felt for rejections. And honestly, is a condition that I don't want to live.
Right.
So in who raised this? Behold, I was left alone. This from where they are they? So say the Lord, behold, I will raise my hand to the nation and to the people will I raise my standard, and shall bring your sons in their armpits, and your daughters shall be born of their shoulder. And then there is another um, question, because at the beginning you are saying, the Lord has forsaken me, the Lord has forgotten me. And then comes another question. Yesaiah chapter 50, verse 1. It says, so said the Lord, where is your mother's bill of divorce, that I sent her away? That's a question. In you know, remember that you cannot divorce just by your word. You have to sign a document, okay, to release the woman, okay. While it's not the the covenant, I would say, broken in a paper, so that is not, you are still married, okay. And so the question from the Lord is, where is my letter of divorce? And the answer is, there is no,
No.
there is not any document. Okay. And then, or who is, or who it is of my creditors to whom I sold you?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I am a slave. I am, so the Lord is saying, you're not a slave. I
No.
never gave a credit, a letter of credit because of you. No. So all these questions is leading to Israel to ask to himself, has the Lord really abandoned me?
Mm-hmm.
Or what happened here?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the question. In it said, behold, that is the answer. For your iniquities you were sold, and for your transgression your mother was sent away. Why have I come and there is no man? So in that's another level, because of question. Yes, what is saying the Lord? Okay, because your iniquities, And what is making here is linking to Ekev, okay? Because in Ekev, we see the blessings, and the Lord is always saying, hey, choose the blessings. But when we don't go in his path, in his ways, in his commandments, then there are consequences. And it's not really the Lord who is abandoning us. It's because of my actions, I am suffering the consequences. And that is leading. So then the Lord is asking, eh, have I called and no answers? Is my hand too short to redeem, or do I have no strength to save? Okay. So in these four questions, there is something. The Lord were looking for us. He was searching us. He was uh, uh, behind us. Hey, hey, Mauricio, come, Mauricio, come. And I don't want to hear, and I don't want to see him, and I don't want to make teshuvah to return back to him. Okay. So right now the Lord is changing my affirmation of the beginning. When I said, oh, the Lord has forsaken me, and he has forgetting me, the Lord right now is saying, I called you, but you didn't answer. Uh-huh. And the Lord is saying, I tried to look at you, and you didn't want to see me.
Just like Adam.
Yes. So right now, my affirmation, the Lord is leading me to recognize my fault. Okay. And it says, is my hand too short to redeem you?
Yeah.
And the answer is really not. The Lord, his arm is strong. Okay. Even he doesn't have to use the arm to save me. It's only with his word. Okay. And then behold, with my rebuke dry up the sea. I make rivers into the desert. Their fish become full because there is no water, and die because of the thirst. I clothe the heavens with darkness, and I make the sackcloth their raiment. The Lord gave me a tongue for teaching, to know, to establish times for the faint, for his word. He awakens me every morning. He awakens my ear to hear according to the teachings. And who is talking here? Is Israel. Okay. The servant of the Lord. Yeah, it could be understood that he's a prophet, but also is, or some will say, oh, is the Messiah, because there is an interpretation that they could be the Messiah. But for me, the servant of the Lord is saying prior is Israel. So right now Israel is like, oh, the Lord gave me a tongue, okay, to be used properly. And then because prior I was complaining with God. Oh, you forgotten me, you forsaken me. No, no, no. Right now is like, oh no, the Lord gave me my tongue to teach. Okay. And then it says, the Lord God opened my ear, and I did not rebel. And when this happening is related to Ekev. In Ekev says the portion, make circumcise your heart. Okay.
Which means
Which means that, you know,
open your heart
when, yeah, it's open the heart,
in a
but
way.
it's more than when uh, uh, when a person is circumcised, there is an exposure,
Mm.
okay? And this exposure provokes in certain way um, feelings, okay? And you can feel anything around you, okay? Because you have a protection, I would say. And so um, there is a word that in Spanish is quedas como sensible. Sensible means
Sens-
uh,
Sensitive.
sensitive, yes. So you are sensitive to what is happening around you. And this is when your heart is cut, is opened, okay?
Right.
Your ear is sensitive. Now I can hear,
Right.
for example.
Mhm.
Before I couldn't hear because the Lord called me and I didn't want to hear.
Mhm.
Now, what he's saying is the Lord opened my ear, and then because I hear, I couldn't be rebel. Then I didn't turn away backwards.
You-
And I gave my back to the smiters and my cheeks to them that I plucked off the hair. I didn't hide my face from embarrassment and spiting. So what is happening here? Okay, they took me, they punched me, they really hit me. Okay, but now I don't feel alone. Okay, because my ear is open. There is a sensitive spiritual around me. And then it says, but the Lord helps me. So prior, I remember the Rabbi said, eh, what is the difference to have sufferings in the life with a person who believes in God and a person who does not believe in God? That the pain with God is you have a comfort, you have a hope, you have the idea that tomorrow will be better.
That's
But
right.
without the Lord,
Yeah,
there is no hope.
exactly. So that's what happened with you at home. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because it's like, oh Lord, what is happening to me? I felt alone. I felt that probably in, okay, I cannot see that I have failed in my relationship with you. But I could understand that not always, okay, is because of my iniquity, is because um of my faults, okay? There is not really a direct relationship with the disgraces that we may live, for example, with the processes sometimes that Ekev leads you. The Lord sent you to the desert to know what was in your heart and to lead you to the conclusion that not only by bread the man will live,
Right.
but by the word of the Lord.
Right.
So it was uh, what's happening. Honestly, right now, my wife is much better, much better.
What
Thanks
happened?
God.
Is it the potato?
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
and the
maybe.
dogs are better.
Wow.
And and
Amazing.
and, and how do you say that? Is it's not really yeah, lies, but not really lies.
Like
There is
Paris?
an insect that goes and invites you and eat your blood. Okay.
Like
It
tick.
seems to be like a
Yeah,
spider, but it's not really a spider. I
a,
cannot really
it's a
remember.
tick. A tick. That's a
Thick. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. And then they start to scratch. Okay.
yeah,
So uh in you know, it's like start to look the salvation of God. Yeah, probably, but it was a process. Okay.
yeah. I remember.
But
Yeah,
but honestly, more than that is to lead me that God really gave the opportunity to know what was in my heart.
right, right,
It was not really about Mauricio. It's not because you made some bad things.
right.
Not really.
No.
It is to lead you to the conclusion that that is the man needs to depend on God. That's why the Lord sends you to the desert. It's
Mm-hmm.
not possible in a city. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because in a city, in a forest, in a jungle, you can extend your hand and then you will have fruits, you will have animals to hunt and water to drink. But in a desert, that is a place that you need to depend 100% on the Lord. Mm. Then start to came out.
Right.
And the questions the prophet is doing led me to the same level of conclusions that I'm telling you. Is the Lord hands too short to save you? No.
Never. Right.
The Lord really can forget you? No.
And that builds our trust.
Yes. So so all of these I want to put in the message and honestly just to close
Yes.
uh, and at the end is really um there is something else. Okay. It says um, behold, the Lord shall help me. Who is he that will condemn me? Okay. It's interesting this question
Yeshua,
because
all these things Yeshua spoke about. It's interesting.
yeah,
All these things you're talking about, he always answered a question with a question.
yes,
Yeah, he told the story about the soldier who said who he came to Yeshua and asked for a healing. I think it was a soldier, and he didn't even have to go. Yeshua said, "God will heal from far. You don't have to bring them." All these things that you're talking about. The
yes,
yeah, it's amazing.
and so who is to condemn you? Oh, there's nobody. Okay,
Yeah,
and then there is something in that really was more deeper than it seems in a light reading, but says, "Who among you is God fearing? Who he hearkens to the voice of his servant? Who went in darkness and who has no light?" Interesting. The darkness appear, and also it says has no light. Well, for me, it's very clear that if I am in darkness, there is no light. But now it is like saying it's in the low of the lowest. Okay, okay, no light for the darkness, and let him trust in the name of the Lord and lean on his God. Behold, all of you who kindle fire,
Kindle.
who give power to flames.
Mm.
Okay, that is very interesting because, you know, what is God saying? to Zion. Okay, Zion, there is two kind of people in you. Ones who recognize they are in darkness and have no light, and the other ones who are looking their own light in the darkness. Yeah. So, and it says, that's why it says, who give power to flames. Go in the flame of your fire. Okay. Because yes, I can walk trusting in God in the dark with no light, but I can say, oh, I can walk in the path of the Lord in the darkness with my own light. So it says, go in the flame of your fire. And it says, and in the flames you have kindled. From my hand has this come to you. In grief you shall be down. So what happened to the person who accepted to walk in darkness with no light, because can understand that his hand, God is leading, okay, leading him. But in the other hand, like in this portion, Moses, remember, for example, a person, a Korach, okay? Korach was a person who wanted to walk in his own light,
Mhm. Right.
okay? So Korach, eh, it says, oh, it's like, I will go in my flame in what I can kindle in at the end of this person will be in grief. Okay. So at the end, those, and that is interesting, okay, because it says, heart, heart, hearken to me, your pursuers of your righteousness, your seekers of the Lord. Look at the rock whence you were hewn, and at the hole of the pit whence you were dug. Okay. And it says, look at Abraham your father and Sarah who bore you. For when he was but one, I called him, and I blessed him and made him many. For the Lord will console, that is to close, okay? Zion, okay? He shall console all its ruins, and he shall make its desert like a paradise, and its wastelands like the garden of the Lord, referring to Eden. In joy and happiness shall be found the rain, thanksgiving and a voice of song. So what is happening here? The person who at the beginning was very sad, poor of me, the Lord, nobody wants me, okay? Even the Lord has forsaken me and forgotten me. Now this person can was consoled by God because he could go and walk in darkness, okay? Because at the end, it's not for what we see, it's because of what we hear. That is why it says, Shema Israel. It doesn't say, oh, Re Israel, look Israel, see Israel. No, 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 no. It says, so sometimes is the Lord is blinding us, leading us to the darkness with no light. Okay, just to have an ending of happiness, of song. Okay, that is the spirit of the the message.
Beautiful, really a beautiful message. And we see that God is always using pictures to show that, even in the plagues, the Hoshech, where you couldn't even walk, it was so dark. Always, and I know in the New Age, we were always taught that we are the light. It's like we make ourselves gods. We are the light. I remember reading in the book of Yochanan, I am not the light. He is the light. The Christians referred that to Jesus, but no, he's talking about God as the light. He's the only true light. And when you mentioned about going into the fire, remember the Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego went into the fire. And these are all pictures. I don't know if it really happened, but it's a beautiful story because we learn how to trust and I remember when I got sick this winter, I was so sick. And I always look in every aspect because it was my immune system was down because of things that had happened. I got a bug, a tick, a bug from the hospital. I was so sick. But through that, God taught me so many things. It's amazing. But it's funny because I don't remember thinking he abandoned me. I always think that what did I do? I'm very hard on myself, and I'm always looking at what, how can I change? What am I going to do? And even thinking about this fire that just hit the restaurant, that was just destroyed, the flames. It's easy to say that um, we caused that. Our disobedience caused this to happen to our people. And maybe God is allowing it because He wants us back in the land. He's bringing us back home. There's so many things we just always have to wait and listen. What is God telling us? And He's always going to show us. We live in a world where we're affected by so many areas, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual. And we always have to be open to examining all three. And the beautiful thing is that when we really have an open ear, we will hear God because we do have the hope. And that leads us to the next stage of trusting, which is going to go to the last moment of taking a breath on this earth. It's going to be a constant um, uh, battle. And what gets us through is hope that others don't have. So we have to pray for those around us that we can bring that light, His light, so that others will have that hope as well. Thank you for your clarification. Thank you for your message. I'm glad to hear Evelyn's better, that you're feeling better. How's your ear? Is it better?
Yeah, yesterday I went to the doctor
Thank
and he told me that it seems that the problem of the ear is because I cannot breathe properly. I have the nose a little bit
you. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I had surgery.
And yeah, but it's like okay, we will treat you here, your sinus, and then probably you can hear better.
Yeah,
And but sometimes it's like there is a pressure on there is not really a pain. It's more like when a sensation of opening and close, but
yes,
with pressure.
yeah,
Like when you are digging very low, and sometimes you feel the pressure of the atmosphere around you. So
You
that
have a
kind of
lot of
thing.
wax in your ears?
No, no, I was really, he said, you don't have too much. The,
Yeah.
the, the serum is good and but on Tuesday he will make audiometry
okay,
because he wants after supposedly if there is inflammation, then he looks to reduce inflammation so he can make the audiometry just to say, oh, everything is okay. My father, used to have at the end of his days, he was deaf in the ears. So it was very, sad for him.
Mm.
Okay. He got a little bit of depression because of that. He couldn't hear people too
Mm.
much. So he used some instruments and for hearing, but there is I hope not nothing happening. It's just to check everything is good. Okay,
Right.
to prevent.
Right. You can go and take some boxing gloves and go and get hit in the nose, and someone
Yeah.
right in your nose.
Okay. Yeah.
And did you have something that you wanted to share about the message before we go? Because I know you're always, Miriam, you're on mute if you want to say.
Okay, I did. Well, I well, nothing to add really, just you had said God forms our character through trial. So if I understood correctly what you're saying, it's not only those who turn from God and don't have the light, it's only their own light that go through trials. I mean, sometimes we go through trials, and as you say it, you don't think that you've been disobedient or turned from God, but God wants us to even look more towards him and know that he's always there and to understand ourselves. He said something, sorry. First of all, yeah, you also said what we're going through now is not the end of our story. So we're always growing and stuff. And yeah, it's hard when you're going through darkness. It's very hard. And I also, like you, Peggy, I'm always looking to myself. What have I done? And sometimes, often is myself, but sometimes we're in a world that has darkness, and sometimes God allows ourselves to go through it. Also, I think we would be very complacent if we never had trials. It would be, well, why am I so different? We might become arrogant, even if it's so subtle we don't realize it. Like, oh, I'm different from others.
I
But
remember hearing one expression, you cannot climb a smooth mountain. We need
right.
the rocks and the things that get in the way to help us climb that mountain. It's very true. Anything else?
I guess pretty much not. Well, I wrote some notes, but
But that's also why it's good to have people around us who we can share and talk to and know that we're not alone, because it isn't only on with God who's telling us we're not alone. We have a community and we can speak to each other. I'm grateful to the people who I can talk to when I'm having, difficulties, and they help me see a perspective that I can't see, because literally my vision is obscured at that moment. It's like we just cannot see.
well, remember what Yeshua said? I always repeat this, but when some towers fell down on some people, and it was a horrible tragedy, and the Pharisees, the self-righteous Pharisees were saying, well, what sins did they commit? And he basically said, be quiet. He said, lest anything worse happen to you. Like, it's not always linked to something bad we've done.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes we have, when we go through darkness and have the light that's always with us, it's
Right.
not the same as those who are in darkness and don't believe in God.
Right.
So anyway, I remember Yeshua saying that, and I was saying, wow, like, don't
Which,
be so quick to point to other people and say, what sin have you committed?
right. Rabbi used to say, when you point a finger, three are pointing back at you.
Yeah.
But it's good to search. It's good to search,
Oh yeah, that of course.
but everything in balance. The whole idea is always to have balance about everything that we
And
do,
sometimes it is a consequence, but not necessarily of things we've done, but even people in our family, like,
or the
you
past.
know,
There is a generation that things have been passed.
yeah, generational darkness, and yeah.
Right? Those are generational, what we call generational curses. And but once we turn to God, he says, and then he gives us his mercy and his grace unto the thousandth generation, which is beautiful. He's like wiped out that familial curse, which is marvelous to know. Walking with the Torah is the greatest thing on earth, and we are so blessed to have that. Thank you, Mauricio. God bless you, and I'm glad you're feeling well. I really would like to hear just quickly, because I know a lot of people suffering from colon issues, which is a lot of it is emotional because the colon is called, even in French, the word is colère, anger. I remember, Miriam, how you talked about an angry bowel.
Right.
Um, but there's also physical things because of the colon is the last processing
The
point.
second brain.
It's called the second brain, but it does process all the nutrients that go into the system. So you said that your wife took potato. Can you tell me what she did?
No, that is for the stomach.
Oh,
She for the stomach. When we were younger, she take potato, in liquid the potato.
the
It
potato.
is, yes, and then drink it. Um,
Not
that
potato. Drink the water from that the potato was soaked in.
no, no, is you put the potato into the liquator and
In
then
your what? Sorry.
Oh, in the blender.
the blender, yes, in the
Did you
blender.
did you cook the potato or it's raw?
No, it's raw.
Oh, interesting. And you put it in a blender
Then
with water? Okay.
just a little of water and then you drink it.
Oh,
So the
Raw
potato,
potato.
well,
Raw potato.
raw potato, what the potato makes, it covers your stomach.
oh,
Okay.
interesting.
So the ulcer is really is
Reduces the acid.
yeah,
Una
the problem
protection.
is, yeah, it's a protection,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
of
the stomach.
stomach.
You,
Senten
Yeah,
the rice.
Reduces
yes,
the
The
acid.
rice for the baby que eat polvo, no polvo de rice. ¿Cómo se dice polvo, Ivano? Iván,
it's like
Ivano, polvo de arroz.
it's also to blend it.
Yeah, power,
Yeah.
power.
Put it in a blender.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And then just cover your stomach. You made two times. That's it. And that is enough, because the problem is like your skin, your stomach, it has this ulcer. But when you cover it, it's like when you have in your skin, for example, something and you put a cream to protect you.
Or a
So
band.
you leave, yes, you leave the skin to recover, because the problem of the stomach is the acids.
Right.
When you are eating, then you produce acids,
Okay.
and the acids is complaining with the ulcer. So right now, what you're doing is covering, and she healed with no medicaments, just the potato.
Amazing.
The natural, yeah, all the
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah, because I always heard that it's dangerous to eat a raw potato, but I guess this is something new. I'm going to look at that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Always, God has given us everything we need.
Just one thing, sorry. Did you give potatoes to the dogs? Did it help them?
No. No, I've never tried, honestly. I don't know.
They just got better. Okay.
The dogs got better on their own.
No, what we do is to take these lies and
Sleep
I
how?
can yeah, big up, and you put them into alcohol.
Oh,
They die with the alcohol.
so you fed
If
the
you put them, for
dog?
example, if you if you try to make this,
Yeah, you
Oh,
can.
you
They are
took the ticks
yeah, the
and put in
things.
alcohol.
Is
Yeah,
what
yes,
you're talking about also a remedy to ulcers?
yes,
Yes.
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 So you put them into alcohol and then they died. Even you can try to put them into a water, for example. At the next day, you think they are dead, but they will be alive.
Oh,
Okay, so the only way to destroy them is by alcohol.
interesting. Because I have sometimes I have a container with a bin of compost, and sometimes we get fruit flies that come from bananas or fruit. So I take a small container and I put in water and apple cider vinegar, and I cover it with like saran wrap, like and plastic wrap, and I make some holes, and I put a elastic around it to hold the cover tight. So the little fleas, they smell the apple cider vinegar, which attracts them, and they fall inside, and then they can't get out, so they die. And I just leave that there, and it just gets rid of all the fruit flies. So there's always a way of finding, yeah. Anyway, thank you, Mauricio. God bless you. Thank you, everybody, for attending our service. Let's continue to pray for each other. And let's continue to know that even though we're going to see more and more of these very dark days ahead, um, because of the imbalance in the world and the lack of Torah in our homes and in our lives, we have hope, and let us bring the light of God into everyone we meet and in what we do. So thank you, and well, enjoy the rest of your Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. And for Moshe,
Shabbat
This goes to the
shalom.
YouTube after?
Bye-bye.
pardon, Brian?
This
Or-
goes to the YouTube after?
Pardon?
This goes to the YouTube, what we're doing now.
I'm going to upload it all. You'll be able to listen to it all again. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.